So we're on stanza 39. Okay? So here's arresting the causes of fury. So, interesting. So here on the outlines, it is unreasonable to be furious with a child if it is in her nature to lack understanding and act so. Okay? So Shantideva says, if it were the nature of the childish to cause harm to other beings, it would still be incorrect to be angry with them, for this would be like begrudging fire for having the nature to burn. Okay? You guys understand? So remember, before the break we were talking about, right, lowering our expectations for sentient beings. Okay? So here, I think in the Lam Rim, it talks about this in a little bit different way. Okay? So let's look here. We have this individual page. Okay? Yes, it's perfect. Okay? So, you see, we have stopping impatience with those who harm you. Stopping impatience with those who prevent your happiness and with those who cause you to suffer. A. Showing that anger is unjustified. 1. On the analysis of the object, anger is unjustified. Okay? So here, you see those analysis whether the object has self-control, 31, 33, 34, 37. That corresponds to stanzas in Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra. So some of these we've just covered. But in general, you see, we have these 4, right? Or I'm sorry, these 3. We have analysis of the object, analysis of the subject, analysis of the basis. Okay? So the analysis of the object is the person who's harming us. That means the object of our anger. Okay? So, the way then we analyze the object, the person who's harmed us, the person that we normally get angry towards, and understand the anger is unjustified. So this first is what we were talking about before the break, and analyzing whether the object has self-control. Right? So we were saying, you know, no one likes to be angry, no one chooses to be angry, you know, they don't have control of their afflictive emotions, they just arise. So, why get angry? You know, not justified to get angry. So here is point number 2. Whether analysis for either adventitiousness or inherency. What's your name? Kun-san. So, do you know what the word adventitiousness means? Okay. So, pekenava, lobuwa. Yeah. Lobuwa. That also is very, you know, maybe you don't use that in common parlance. But the analogy for this is, again, what we talked about last night, the cup of water with dirt in it. Okay? The dirt is kind of temporarily, adventitiously polluted, but the nature of the water, you know, remains pure. Do you understand? So here, it is like, okay, sentient beings, when they get angry, is their state of getting angry and adventitious means like a kind of, you know, temporary, accidental, non-permanent, depending on various causes and conditions, or is it inherent to their nature? Okay, but it either has to be one of the two, right? It's either adventitious or inherent. So Shantideva is laying out that buffet for us, and actually, no matter which one it is, our anger is going to be unjustified. Right? So there's a very, very skillful way. Okay? Right? So the first one, if it's adventitious, right, it would be, okay, if it's not adventitious, right? If it's somehow inherently part of their nature, then it would be, incorrect to be angry at them, for it would be like begrudging fire for having the nature to burn. Okay? So then the second stanza, 40, is if it is adventitious. And even if the fault were temporary, in they who are by nature reliable, it would still be incorrect to be angry, for this would be like begrudging space for allowing smoke to arise in it. Understand? No. Okay. So the people that we would normally get angry at, right? They have some kind of disturbing emotions, usually anger. They harm us, right? We blame them, we don't like it, and then we want to harm them back, right? So then we ask, okay, this anger, okay, is it the case that this person who's harmed me, they're by nature angry, means they're always angry, or are they just kind of accidentally, like temporarily, due to various causes and conditions, adventitiously angry? Okay? So let's take the first line. They're always angry. It's in their nature to be angry. Well, if it's in their nature to be angry, then why should we get angry at them? It's of their nature. It's like getting angry with fire for being hot. Right? And you say, okay, no, they're not by nature angry. And by the way, yeah, it's true. No one is 100% angry all the time. Right? So it is just an adventitious circumstance. So if that's the case, then it's like, the clouds, or sorry, the sky is normally free of clouds and free of smoke, but sometimes clouds or smoke can arise in it, right? So the clouds being there in the sky is an adventitious circumstance, okay? So similarly, yeah, if the fault were temporary in those who are by nature reliable, it would still be angry, for this would be like begrudging space for allowing smoke to arise in it. So what this means, we say, oh no. Sentient beings are not inherently angry. They're usually good. But sometimes they just, have anger occasionally. Right? So still it would be unjustifiable to get angry at them. Because, you see, the way our anger operates, and you look in your own minds to see if this is true, please don't take my word for it. But we superimpose that the object of anger is 100% bad. Right? Okay? Remember, just like my cat is perfect and the best in the world, 100%. Okay. Don't shake your head.
No, I'm agreeing with you. That's why I'm
Thank you.
That's the Indian way, sorry.
If you're insulting my cat, I throw you out. No, I'm joking. But by the way, that's how anger operates. We have a strong object of attachment, and those who come and criticize that object, we get angry. How dare you insult my cat? Okay. So anyway, what was I saying? Yes, the flip side, right? So just as attachment will operate by looking at the object and imputing, superimposing, 100% good, perfect, anger works in the opposite way. It views the object and imputes, superimposes 100% bad. And therefore we want to destroy, we want to harm, we want to get rid, because we think then the anger will, the badness will go away, right? But seeing that, oh no, they're actually not 100% bad, they're not inherently bad, it's just some kind of temporary thing, they're always not like this, then why harm them back? Right? That's the point. So, you understand? Oh yes, well yes. So that's true. But that's okay. Remember, wisdom's arising from hearing, contemplating, meditation. Yeah, so te, sam, gom, sum. Right? So it's in that order. Okay? So the implementation, that's coming from the meditation side. Remember, meditation is habituation, familiarization. Or maybe I should start using the word implementation. We make it part of our... See, who wants to wake up to that? It's 12 o'clock. Uh-oh. Shanti, you have to send me the bill. Because now the light's on.
It will go off after some time when you break.
Oh, it's off already. Wow. Clairvoyance. Okay. Ale. Yeah. So, meditation, implementation, creating the new habit to react in a different way. You understand? So now we have a habit of when we're criticized, to criticize back. When we're harmed, harm back. You know? Or 1, 2 of you? Okay, that's enough. 3. Right? So what we have to do is unwind the unhelpful habits and then build new ones. Right? So it's going to take time. But first we have to understand, you know. And by the way, you see, there's a whole chapter devoted to this, 134 verses, right? So it's not just enough, don't get angry, right? But Shantideva is giving us these different tools, these different ways to think differently. And so the other point I wanted to make is, you know, for some of us, okay, he's giving us these tools, like a toolkit. And for some of us, different contemplations are going to be more effective, you know, than others. So if some don't work for you, just go down a few more stanzas and try to find one that does work for you. Okay? Okay. So 3, an analysis of whether the harm is direct or indirect. This is what I alluded to before the break. If I become angry with the wielder, although I'm actually harmed with the stick, then since the perpetrator too is secondary in being in turn incited by hatred, I should be angry with a hatred instead. You understand? Wielder. Okay. Wielder of the stick. Okay? So you see, analysis whether the harm is direct or indirect. Okay? So basically, you know, it's the in this case, are we directly harmed by the stick?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we don't have anger at the things that directly harm us?
Not in this case.
Interesting. Yes, I would agree we're directly harmed by the stick. But how then does that apply to this analogy, right? Because we have the stick, which is directly harming us, but we don't get angry at that direct harm because the thing that's indirectly harming us, the person, that's the one we get angry at. But then we take it one step further. So the afflictions, they're also indirectly harming us, right?
So we should not be angry with the person, but it is the affliction that is driving him.
Should not be angry at all. That's the idea.
That's true, but you get my point, right? You get my doubt, right? Huh? What was that, Rashan?
Yeah, I said that he is justifying that we should not be angry with the person
Mm.
because in his or her anger is what is driving that person to act.
Right. But then, who is the direct harm and who's the indirect harm? Of the three. The stick, the person wielding the stick, and the afflictions.
Yeah, you have to take two at a time. So, stick in
Okay.
the person or person in the affliction.
I like that very much. You guys understand?
I didn't get the last bit.
Thank you.
I didn't hear.
Yeah, no. So she's saying, take two at a time. Between the stick and the person wielding the stick, we tend to get angry at the person wielding the stick because we see the stick just as an instrument for the wielder. Okay? But then between the person and the afflictions, the person is similarly being wielded or being used by the afflictions. So, like that.
What's the problem? I don't understand. There's a stick and the person wielding it. You're angry with the person because he's wielding the stick.
Yes, okay. So now, that person wielding the stick, she in turn is being wielded by her afflictive emotions. So we should get angry at her afflictive emotions.
If you go one step further than that, Namjong, the afflictive emotions belong to that person.
She should be able to
That's the
subdue
fourth.
them.
That's the fourth step.
Stick can also belong to the person.
Okay.
What's someone saying? It's a creation of that person.
Continue.
I haven't thought beyond that, but it's a fact that the anger is wielding the person at the time that the person is angry, but the anger belongs to that person. It hasn't appeared like a stick from some
So therefore,
place.
anger is
The
justified?
the person is to blame. The person is to blame.
Nice.
Maybe your anger, no, not maybe, it would definitely, it serves no purpose for you to get angry,
Yeah.
but the person is to blame. It's not the anger or the stick or some fourth or fifth party.
The person is to blame. Yes. And so should we get angry at the person?
No, I already said that there's no reason for us to get, it would be better for us not to be
They're
angry.
the ones to blame.
You can blame somebody without being angry.
Okay.
You can say you spilled the coffee, there's no reason to get angry.
Someone spilled coffee?
Or you can say that.
I'm joking.
It would never be me because I don't drink it.
Okay. So, that's a valid doubt to bring up, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. Okay? Yes, we'll get to that in a little bit. But as long as you're still in the camp, the anger is unjustified. We can be friends. Okay.
I'm not saying it's unjustified. Actually, I'm saying it is not a necessary ingredient. It might be justified.
Okay. You're friend, enemy, neutral person. Okay, I'm joking. Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. So, next, analyzing the cause that impels the harm doers. Now, previously I must have caused similar harm to other sinning beings. Therefore, it is right for this harm to be returned to me, who caused injury to others. Now, we were talking about this last night when we were starting to get into karma, right? Remember? We were saying one element of the view of karma is that we put it in the standpoint of every suffering experience that we have is due to, or the effect of, or a ripening result of actions, negative actions that we ourselves have accumulated in the past. Okay? Alright. So now, this person who has harmed us, okay, how has that come to pass? Is because we, in the past, have done similar harm. Right? Therefore, we planted the seed that is now ripening as this suffering experience. That's what it means. How does that sound? Now, there was someone here last night who is not here today, who was asking me about this after the class. And there's a couple clarifying points to have here, okay? So one is this Buddhist worldview of karma. It's not that the Buddha made this up. The Buddha is not a creator God, right? So some people say, in some other introductory courses, they'll ask about, for example, a tiger, right? The tiger who eats the deer. Do they collect negative karma? And the answer is yes. Yes. They've killed. Then they say, wait a minute, it's so unfair. Doesn't have a choice. The tigers can't order swiggy, veg food. Can they? You understand? So, the tiger that eats the deer or whatever, okay, do they collect negative karma of killing? So in the Buddhist view, that we say yes, they get negative karma of killing. So some people say, but Namjong, that's very unfair. They don't have a choice. They can't eat a tofu burger. But you see, since the Buddha just discovered and then elucidated or explained the view of karma rather than creating it, there really isn't like, talk of fairness. Because in Buddhism, there's no creator God. Right? It's like, is it fair that water boils at 100 degrees?
No.
I mean, you don't talk like that. Right? There's no kind of fairness or no value judgment. It is how it is. Right? Do you understand, Dusha? Okay. Right? So, that's one thing. Okay? Because, it'd be one thing, right? In a system with a creator God, then it was that creator God's choice to have things like this. Then it's a valid thing, right? Where, the God created a carnivore and now is like morally responsible and blameworthy for eating meat. So the tiger could argue with God, like, hey, God, you made me like this, man.
And then they can never come out of that cycle because they're carnivores and they'll keep doing it and keep creating the negative stuff. How will they come out?
Okay. So let's just understand the first step. Okay? Right? So the first step was just that. Therefore, because the Buddha was not the creator God, is not the creator God, then this term of, it's fair like this or not, then doesn't apply in the way that it would if we're in a system with the creator God. Do we understand that? Okay. Alright. So now, your question. Okay, we're not saying fair or unfair, but what about these tigers? How are they going to get out? That's why was saying earlier, is very difficult. And Shantideva was saying, if when we have this precious human rebirth, we're able to differentiate between right and wrong, if we don't practice Dharma and use it to collect as much virtue as we can, and then we get born again in the lower realms, there will be only suffering and no virtue, and therefore 100, eons, I'll not even hear the word a happy life. So what you say on one level is true. Once you're in the lower realms, it is very hard to get out, because the tiger is just going to, eat more and more, kill more and more. So what do?
Practice now.
So what do we do? First and foremost, it should be, therefore I better not be born as a tiger.
Make sure we have.
So then, this is the initial point of Dharma. This is what we're, you were here last night. You were here last night, right?
Performing religious actions.
Yes, thank you. This is what we're emphasizing last night. The very starting point of Dharma is to abandon negative actions and accumulate as much virtue as we can. Because the most urgent problem on our hands is we're going to die any second now. And when we die, sorry, it's not that, it's like snuffing out of a candle, but the mental continuum will go on. And it only going to take with us the karmic store we have, right? So while we have this opportunity, this is what Shantideva was talking about in the beginning, right? Leisure and endowment are very hard to find, and since they accomplish what is meaningful for humanity, if I do not take advantage of them now, how will such a perfect opportunity come about again? Leisure and endowment means this perfect human life, among the first page of the text, the fourth stanza. The first thing we have to do, understand that this opportunity we have is so precious, it accomplishes what's meaningful for humanity, but if we don't take advantage of it, means by not practicing Dharma, we're not going to get this opportunity again. We'll be a tiger. Actually, we might be even worse. Even, my cat, the best cat in the world, she's a hunter too, I feed her the best, whiskas.
Mm.
But, one time, actually a couple times, she's brought a mouse into my room. I scold her, I teach her about Bodhicitta. But, one time a squirrel, it was very sad. And then lizards and other things. Very hard. Okay, but this leads us to the other thing. What can we then do for the tigers? Or the cats? Or these ones who are already in the lower realms? And so, although it's very difficult for them to get a good rebirth, so there are some things we can do. And one thing is, you laugh when I said, I was explaining Bodhicitta to the cat, but the cat at least gets some positive imprints from hearing. So you can recite mantras for the cat, or for even when we walk down the street, we see the cows, we should recite mantras, thinking, I'm going to give positive imprints to this. Omani Bebe home. We should give positive imprints as much as we can. So even, that, you all heard that mantra? Omani Bebe home? Most simple. The next one, Medicine Buddha mantra. So on. There's all different mantras we can say. Okay? Now, then of course, actually when we do our different practices, if we do it out loud, we can imagine all these beings also listening to us. But on a practical level, if we do have pets, Lama Zopa Rinpoche has all this advice about what to do. And one of them is to give positive imprints. I know Anita, who usually comes, she has like sutras playing in her house. She has like 17 dogs, I don't know. And these sutras are playing and the dogs hear that. It's amazing. So what do you think? You can pick up your animal, and if you have an altar at home, you can have some stupas or statues and go around them. Many practices we can do. Yeah. So, I don't know if you guys have pets, but if you do, you should learn this Medicine Buddha mantra. It's very, very powerful mantra. Because also, with the Medicine Buddha mantra, if you blow on the bones, or even the meat of an animal that's passed away, then it can purify the negative karma, so they can get a good rebirth. So when I feed the best cat in the world, the whiskas, I always, I recite the Medicine Buddha mantra and I blow on the food. So then all of I use ocean fish flavor, okay? Then all of those fish that were in there, their negative karma gets purified, right? Blow on the food. Neljorma hears the mantra, I bless the cat food, and so it's like, quite beneficial for some number of sentient beings. Now, I'm getting some looks like, what the heck, this guy's blowing on cat food? Okay. Now here's the beauty of compassion. It is said, His Holiness talks about this a lot. See, compassion benefits you. Benefits you, first and foremost. Okay? So even if, I don't know, it's a fake mantra, I'm just saying. Right? And Namjong, no, there's no mantra that purifies. But you see, I'm there. You develop a mind, thinking, all these fish, died. All these fish are suffering in samsara. All these fish, I want them to be free of suffering. Wow. Yeah? That mind of compassion, amazing, for the person who's generating that. You understand? You understand? Now I want to feed more. Anyway. So like His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, right? If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. You understand?
There was this interview in Hindu recently of Geshe, Lordji Ramguru, where he ends up by quoting His Holiness, saying that when you talk of Buddhism, the religion that is associated with it is compassion. I mean, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but that was the last sentence in that.
Yes. Okay, so I'll just go a little bit longer, and then I don't know, do something else. Okay. So I was still on stanza 42. where actually this stanza hinges, the understanding of this stanza hinges on the understanding of karma. And since there could be some kind of views or perceptions or consequences associated with the view of karma, then I wanted to talk about that. Okay? So those views that come up is this view of fairness, and then you have the ancillary point about what then do we do for animals or other beings who have been born in the lower realms. Okay? So the second thing that can be a bit problematic. So karma, again, is describing the cause for certain things to happen, but it's not necessarily assigning like blame. Like for example, we have some very dastardly things going on in the world. Okay, so we hear about a victim of some kind of crime or murder or whatever, assault. Now, strictly speaking, yes, it's true. What's said here, every suffering that is experienced is the result of previously accumulated negative action. Right? But that doesn't then mean, oh, you deserved it. You deserve to suffer. Or you deserve to, be harmed in this way. Okay? In this context, this stanza, we are using the concept of karma as antidote for our own anger to prevent us from getting upset at the perpetrator of the crime. But if one of our friends comes to us and they've been harmed or they've had a bad experience, we don't tell them it's your karma. I mean, not at first. Okay? Right. So remember, there's those guidelines for speech, I think. The Rotary Club uses it, right? Is it true? Is it beneficial? What is it? There's 4.
Kind.
Is it kind? Yeah. And what's the 4th one?
It's necessary.
Is it necessary? Right? So, yes, it's true that it's your karma. But is it kind? I'm not sure. Is it necessary at this time to go into that? Probably not. You should give comfort to that person. And then that also doesn't then absolve our ability to say that the perpetrator of the harm did a negative action. Though karma exists, though it is the fact that, when someone harms me, it's the ripening effect of my, previously accumulated negative karma. It's not that then, oh, this person is, blameless. Right? You understand? But the way we think about it is different. And recognizing and appreciating the fact that, our own karma had played a role in it. Remember, when we get angry, it's because we're viewing the person as the 100% source of the harm. And this just, loosens it a little bit, waters that down. So many times, and this is why we have to study a lot, we're given different tools to work with our mind, and we use some at different situations, right? Different times. So, we talked about many times this recognition, when we talk about bodhicitta, a recognition that all sentient beings have been our mothers. Many times. Throughout beginningless, samsara and rebirth. All of you have been my mother, not just once, but many times. Right? The point of that is the compassion toward all sentient beings because we recognize they've been kind to us in the past, right? So it helps us develop compassion and therefore bodhicitta. But it's equally true that just as, you know, all of you have been my mother, all of you have also been my murderer, right? All of you have been my pet cat. All of you have been my, rival, right? All of you have been my whatever, executioner, all these things, okay? So, in other contexts, when we're trying to loosen the strong attachment we have for someone else, then one way of developing equanimity is to reflect that all of our relationships in samsara are transient in nature. And this one, you know, this cat that we see so nice now, you know, it's not always been like that, nor will it always be like that. So these are constantly in flux. Therefore, to whom should we be attached?
No one.
Thank you. Okay? So at this, you know, when we're trying to develop equanimity, level out the playing field, because right now we have excessive attachment towards some, maybe, well, any hatred is excessive. We have hatred or dislike towards others, and then most people, complete indifference. Right? So to level out that playing field, we reflect on the transient nature. But in other elements or other parts of the path of our training, we want to develop our compassion. So we reflect exclusively on the fact that all of them have been our mother or father, loved one. You understand? Are those contradictory? No. Because we're using these contemplations to enact a change in our mind, certain contemplations will be used at a certain time and others not, right? So, again, to bring it to medical analogy, right? In general, you know, like one particular type of diet, yeah, might be good for some people, but in other, okay, my late grandma, you know, at one point, she had, what is the word? Anemia. And her doctor in the US told her to eat more red meat. Right? And she was saying, but hey, doc, just some months ago you were telling me to eat less red meat. What's going on? Right? Well, the conditions are different. You know, for some, you might need a different course. Right? And those aren't necessarily contradictory. You understand? So the Dharma is like that. We study about the Dharma, we learn about the Dharma because, you know, as I was using this toolkit analogy, we're trying to increase the tools we have at our disposal. But fundamentally, it's up to us to look at our own minds and see what's going on. Okay, if I'm too attached right now, I need to apply this type of antidote. If I have too much of this, I need to have that antidote. You know? And then expanding our toolkit and then being skilled in when to use which tool or not. That's the name of the game.
When you got somebody who's making you suffer, and you accept all this, that I brought it on, that he's not entirely to blame, etc. Finally, what is our approach? Do we accept the suffering for the time being, or what? Because we've got the prayer also that, you know, may it be subdued, maybe overcome the 80,000 obstacles, maybe get rid of it all. So which of these do we then, I mean, what's the mindset we should apply?
Well, so again, it's very hard to have a one-size-fit-all. You know, every situation, this is what I was saying, you need the skill to look in your own mind and look at the situation and so forth, right? But, you know, in general, as Shantideva says, right, if there's nothing you can do about it, do about it, why worry? If there's something you can do about it, why worry? Right? So, in general, in the moment, I'm talking about beginners like myself, in the moment when we are, harmed or irritated, okay? So, in general, it's of the three, body, speech, and mind, right? It's easier to subdue the actions of body and speech more than it is the mind, right? So someone provokes me, right? Someone interrupts me while I'm talking. I might get some irritation arise in the mind. But although the irritation or anger can be there, I can, not be so successful in stopping it right away. But I can then be like, oh, wait a minute. I'm a bit irritated now. I have to make sure that I don't do something with my body or speech that I'm going to later regret. You understand? Now, that's in the moment. When we're not in the moment, we go home, we go back to the comfort of our meditation cushion. We use these tools, techniques that Shantideva is talking about. And then we can, to some gong, hearing, contemplating, meditation. We use our meditation practice then to kind of loosen the habit of getting angry when we're provoked, right? But in the moment, the other thing that we can do, should do, is when we're provoked, rather than adding to the mental elaborations, focus back again on the body. How is that anger manifesting in the body? Because, see, the more we think about it, we're going to get more and more angry at our level. We're going to think, oh, she did this, she did that, blah, 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 and have an internal kind of bitch session. Yes? Internal, complaining and playing over and over again all the unfair things that this person has done, and therefore that'll strengthen our anger. So we need to cut the mental elaboration. So just in the beginning, when we did the meditation, just focusing, yesterday we did rising and falling of the abdomen, today we did in this region. When other appearances came to the mind, we didn't pay attention, we let them go, and we just stayed in the body, right? So similarly, we can use that strategy when we get angry. Don't think about, she did this, she did that, oh, then I did this, and then she did that. But you can ask ourselves, okay, how is the anger manifesting in my body right now? Okay, my heart is beating faster. My neck is getting hot. Beads of sweat are forming on my forehead. Whatever it is, Then it's getting back to the impartial observer. And we're observing the kind of physical and not thinking. You understand? Am I answering your question?
Yes, this makes a lot of sense.
Oh, great.
And it's nice actually.
But then what if after all this as well, we, once we are done with the meditation, our mind comes back to the same thing? Then how do you
break that habit?
Yeah, how do you break that habit? It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's the problem.
It's not easy, none of this is easy.
So how do you do it?
You just continue.
Breaking a habit takes time.
So it's like this. Okay, first of all, like John Lennon says, there's no problems, only solutions. You understand? So, it's the same thing. Okay, first of all, have the recognition that it is tough. And therefore, you're going to not wave a magic wand and be instantly not angry tomorrow. Okay? So you also have to have some realistic notion that it's going to take a long time. And maybe lifetimes. Maybe eons. Who knows? But the point is, every time we need to be just a little bit gentle with ourselves and give ourselves the space to change. And of course, we have this goal, okay, I'm not going to get angry. But we're going to slip up. But with anything, you know, although we might slip up, the point is that we continue, you know, and don't then just throw everything away. You know, like, if you know about the keto diet, then, you know, yeah, we're trying to eat healthy in general. We're trying to work out. We're trying to be healthy. But, okay, yesterday we had French fries. Okay, then today we try to do better, right? So be gentle and compassionate with yourself. Does that help?
Yeah,
Can try.
The verse 14 says that. Verse 14 here. 14th verse.
1-4. In the patience chapter. Okay? Yeah, that wasn't a question, but yeah, this is the whole point about habituation. There's nothing whatsoever that is not made easier through acquaintance. So, through becoming acquainted with smaller harms, I shall learn to patiently accept greater harms. You understand? So, we start our practice of patience with little things, you know? And with any habit, actually. You know, Charles Duhigg. You ever heard of him? Anyway, he's all about habits. And it's like, you know, if you want to start a habit of flossing your teeth, start by flossing one tooth. Start low. You know, set a very low bar. Huh? Micro habits. Right? So similarly, you can set a goal like, okay, now today, anyone who points out one of my faults, in response, I'm not going to point out one of their faults. How's that? Pretty nice. I think we can do that one, right? You read these stories of the Bodhisattvas, you know, and the Buddha in one of his past lives, it said, you know, when he was trying to practice patience, his name was, I think, even like the rishi who expounds patience. And so there was a local king who said, hey, you're known as the rishi who expounds patience. Let's check. And was like cutting off the body parts of the Buddha, or the Bodhisattva at that time, to check, are you really, you know, who you say you are? So of course, please, don't cut off my body parts, I'm not ready. But, you know, and also don't criticize me, or my cat. But, you know, if it happens, we can try, you know, not to get angry. See? So little things like this. Okay. Honey, I'm in class right now. I'll call you back later. So it's time. Yeah? Shall we end for today? Huh? No. Okay, you know what? Let's finish on the analysis of the object, our anger is unjustified, okay? Okay, actually. Okay. Actually, stanzas 43 and 44, we're getting into another topic here. So maybe we leave it at that for now. Well, that's okay. Let's just jump. Analysis of the cause that impels the harm doers. Okay. So we already at 42. We saw that actually any suffering that we experience is due to our own negative actions we've done in the past. So now let's just jump to 45 to 47. Okay. It is the fault of the childish that they are hurt, for although they do not wish to suffer, they are greatly attached to its causes. So why should they be angry with others? Just like the guardians of the hell worlds and the forest of razor-sharp leaves, so is the suffering produced by my actions. With whom, therefore, should I be angry? Having been instigated by my own actions to those who those who cause me harm come into being. If by these actions they should fall into hell, surely isn't it I who am destroying them?
That's a bit extreme.
Actually, why don't we just do 43 and 44 and then we can stop by there. Okay, so 43. Both the weapon and my body are causes of my suffering. Since the other gave rise to the weapon and I to the body, with whom should I be angry? If in blind attachment I cling to the suffering abscess of a human form, which cannot bear to be touched, with whom should I be angry when it is hurt? Okay, so those 43 and 44 is analyzing the causes of harm and where the fault lies.
In 45, stanza says, it is the fault of the childish that they are hurt. For although they do not wish to suffer, they are greatly attached to its causes.
Yeah.
So why should they be angry with others? What does that mean?
Yeah. So, what are the causes of suffering? Non-virtuous actions, right? So, childish sentient beings like us, we're a bit weird, right? We say on the one hand, I don't want to suffer, but we're greatly attached to its causes, means negative actions. Have we abandoned negative actions? Not at all, right? But yet, when we experience some kind of suffering, we're like, it's the greatest kind of injustice put on us. Okay? So, you understand?
No, I feel he's kind of talking down to you. What
Well,
do you mean by saying you're childish if you're hurt? As if he's some big...
He is big. It's Shantideva, dude.
No, he is a big bodhisattva and whatever else. But I mean, a normal mortal is hurt.
Yeah, look, okay.
And
So, Subhashini, yes.
to kind of label it as childish, and although they do not wish to suffer, they are greatly attached to its causes. What are these causes now?
Negative actions.
Sorry?
Negative actions.
So whose Whose negative actions? The person who's harmed you or your?
No,
Your
your own. You know, like it says in the first chapter, right? Although sentient beings do not wish to suffer, you know?
The Dickens is, I mean, I'm a little angry with the Shantideva.
Stop being so childish.
Sorry?
Stop being so childish.
Avoiding your own sufferings. That's what
Okay,
he's
look,
saying.
now look. I'll say this, Sebastian. Shantideva is opening up a whole new world of possibility for us to live our lives in an entirely different way.
That's why I'm asking.
So, listen. From the beginning of this lifetime until now, right, we've been living our lives essentially in the same way, right? Harming those who harm us, you know, selfishly going after our own pleasure, especially sense pleasure, you know? Completely admired in the 8 worldly concerns of, you know, gain and loss, pleasant physical sensations, you know, good reputation, pleasant sounds, being praised, all this stuff. Okay? Right? Cherishing ourselves over all others. Right? So where has that gotten us? By the way, this childish, you know, this word childish, the Buddha talked like this too, right? And what did the Buddha say? Here's one. You know, the childish people, the real childish people are those who believe they're wise. But the childish person who knows she is childish is at least wise in that regard. Understand? Right. So it takes a little bit of self-reflection and honesty, actually a lot, throughout the spiritual path. To say that actually, hey, you know what? We have to get to the point where we say, you know what, Buddha, or Shantideva, I've been trying it my own way, you know? I've been trying to get, you know, happiness and trying to avoid suffering, following my own thoughts, my own deluded mind. And you know what? I haven't been successful. You look like you've pacified all suffering. And you look like you're a pretty, you know, happy and contented person. How did you do it? You know? It takes a bit of humility to say, you know what? I give up. And I'm willing to try something new. Huh? So then we say, okay, remember, I said this another time, but it's worth repeating. At the beginning of the teachings, we have the 3 faults of a vessel that we have to abandon. Then there's the other 6 contemplations when we're listening to teachings. First is to view ourselves as a sick person. Okay? So we come into the teaching saying like, hey, we come to the teachings knowing we're not enlightened. Right? So there's a lot of humility that needs to be there. Viewing ourselves as a sick person, viewing the Buddha as the doctor, viewing the Dharma as the medicine, viewing continued practice as the way to get cured. That's 4. Then viewing the Tathagatas as excellent beings. It's important. You know, the Buddhas, and by extension the Bodhisattvas. that means not to think, oh, Shantideva is being so rude, calling me childish, how dare you. It's like a, very compassionate coach, right? Wants the best performance out of his athletes and not going to take, anything less than your best effort, right? So that coach that makes you do those extra laps and then the practice, he's trying to elicit, extract the very best out of you. Okay? So Shantideva is trying to, be that kind of coach at sometimes, a little bit difficult, but pushing us on to get enlightened as quickly as possible. Seeing that, by the way, hey, wait, this is the one time probably, let's be honest, we've encountered this text, Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra. We've encountered the word Bodhicitta. We've encountered the word shunyata. Now, most of us, in our next life, is it. We're going to go down to the lower realms. Is it? So, as Shantideva said, is it tough when he says that, now that we've attained this precious human boat, use it to cross the shore, use it to cross the great river of pain. This type of boat will not easily be found again. There's no time for sleep, you fool. So what do we say, Shantideva? Be nicer to us. This is most urgency, actually. So, if we were okay with a very soft, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas holding flowers. Hey, Subhashini, it's time to practice Dharma. Here's some flowers. If that were enough for us, and maybe it is enough, but if it were, I think we'd be a little bit further along on the path, do you think? I don't know. So anyway, my point, I guess, is, see, the medical analogy, we have to go in more and more about this, right? So first, this kind of, to be just brutally honest about ourselves, First to ourselves, and then, of course, to our doctor, right? We go into the doctor, we've been smoking. Then, do we say to the doctor, oh, we're so shy, we're ashamed? No, doc, I haven't been smoking. The doctor needs to know. Yeah, you know what? Last time, you told me to cut out salt, but I love French fries too much, I've still been eating them. You told me to exercise 3 times a week, I've been watching Netflix. Right? The one that's trying to help us get healthy, they need to know the current state, right? So we need to be honest about that. And then, okay, maybe the first time, the doctor says, okay, please exercise, please cut out saturated fats, blah, blah, blah. Then we go back 6 months later, we haven't done it. Then, what do you think? So, I mean, and isn't that what being childish is? Right? It takes an adult. You know, this whole thing of, you know, delaying our gratification. Right? You guys get this? Right? Delaying it. It's the adult that says, okay, you know, or it's an adult way of thinking, versus the child just wants to play, only thinking about today. You start to begin to have the adult way of thinking, saying, okay, I could play today, but I have a test coming up. So instead of playing today, I'm going to, you know, delay my gratification and study so I get a better result later. So what do you think? Those ones who are just, you know, playing all day, do we not call them childish? Come on, Subhash, you're a teacher. You should know some of these concepts, right? So anyway, let's call it a day. You must be tired. You must be tired. You just got out of exams a few days ago. You travel all this way. Have a bit of compassion for me. Okay. So, we dedicated the merit last night. So let's see. Anjali? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So we had in the dedication, we had certain features that need to be there. How many were there?
3 plus 1.
What is it? 3 plus 1. Square root of 16. We're having an algebra lesson as well as Dharma. 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay. Carry the 2. Alright. So now, of any of those 4, how many do you remember? None.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the motivation we had at the beginning? Motivation at the beginning.
Compassion?
Yes, that's there. Okay, so now, I know my more experienced students, they know all 4 off the bat. Okay? So, and I forgot your name.
Sumisha.
Sumisha. Do you remember any of the 4? Practice patience, I'm joking. Dilshad. Any of the 4, anyone.
What for?
The 4 elements of a minimum dedication that we do.
The for what?
Elements of a dedication.
Elements, parts of a dedication of merit. Wow. Dilshad, no.
We start the dedication.
But this is dedication. Yeah.
Benefiting sentiment.
Okay. Okay. You keep going, keep going. Okay, nice. Nice. Anything else you want to add? Okay, so I put it like this. And this is actually, in some ways, Shanti's algebra answer is good. So you actually, to think about it like this, 3 plus 1 is good. So why? The first one is that all sentient beings be free from suffering and abide in the state of happiness means full enlightenment forever. Right? That's the ultimate. Why are we doing all this? Why do we become Buddha? So we can lead all other sentient beings to that enlightened state as quickly as possible. Okay? So due to this merit, think about this. May all sentient beings vast as the vast of space be free of all suffering and attain the state of enlightenment as quickly as possible. Okay? That's the root. Now the question, how does that happen? Buddha waves a magic wand, we're all enlightened? No way. Sentient beings become enlightened through practicing Dharma. So we dedicate for the flourishing of the Dharma. All sentient beings have access to the Dharma teachings. But for that to happen, what, we then just print Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra and mail it? No. Not just the book, but they need qualified teachers that can explain the words, who can answer our questions, who can scold us when we need scolding. So then we also dedicate for the long, healthy lives of the spiritual friends. Okay? There's a 3. Now what's the +1? Since we are here in the Mahayana world, we want to always dedicate for Bodhicitta. Because, yes, all sentient beings become enlightened, that's the goal. But the main cause of sentient beings to be enlightened is the mind of Bodhicitta. And therefore we had that Tibetan verse on Bodhicitta. Bonus points if you're not a Tibetan speaker and you can give me that verse. Jamchup Semchok, Ani? Ani? Okay. Bonus points. But she is one of our very senior students. Can you give a word commentary on that? Anyway, but you know the overall meaning in English, may the precious Bodhicitta that has not yet arisen arise and grow, may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Okay? So that's the 3, and then that's the +1. Okay? You understand? What? All sentient beings become enlightened. How do they do that? Practicing Dharma. So flourishing of the Dharma. How does the Dharma flourish? Teachers. So for them to have a long and healthy life, continue to teach us, guide us, scold us when we need scolding. And then the 4th, that's a 3. 4th, Bodhicitta. Okay? Bus. Okay. Wait, so I explained that. Do we actually do that dedication in your minds? Did you have those thoughts arise? Yes. So do that. You have to not just like a parrot, right? But think, due to this merit, may all sentient beings be free of all their suffering and attain the complete enlightened state as quickly as possible. Due to this merit, may the Holy Dharma flourish in the 10 directions forever. May all the glorious Guru's lives be long and stable. May they continue to benefit us by teaching, guiding us along the path. May all our holy wishes succeed immediately. And then may this mind of Bodhicitta does not have arisen, arise, or grow, and which has arisen, not diminished, but increased forevermore. Okay. So you're using your mind to kind of give some energy behind those aspirations. Understand? Try it. Even if you're like, oh, what is all this business? It affects your mind. Okay? Bye. See you later.